2016 World Series.
This is Cubs Postseason Live, presented by Fields Auto Group.
Well, it's been 71 years as the numbers show. The Chicago Cubs will take the field tonight with a chance to turn that number to 0 and to have themselves a berth in the World Series against the Cleveland Indians. And welcome in to Cubs Postseason Live here at Wrigley Field alongside Todd Hollingsworth and Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg. I'm David Kaplan. Holly, this is a moment that in 03 you were in the other dugout playing for the Marlins. The Cubs have not had a chance to get to a World Series since then. Right. In a clinch game at Wrigley. What are the emotions like, you think, here in this building?
Well, I mean, there's varying emotions. Well, listen, I mean, it depends on who you're asking me about. If you ask me about the fans, and I've been talking to people all day today, yeah, there's nerves. There's anticipation. We've got a great team. We expect greatness from them, but we're nervous. History's scaring us right now. I think when it comes to the players are pretty relaxed, but they get it. And again, that's the dynamic that you've got to be so careful with, because I felt it in the other dugout back in 03, what was being impressed upon the players, the Cubs players, in 03, meaning they're feeling the pressure of what this fan base wants so badly and so desperately. That's a dynamic that you got to be careful with. And again, I've been encouraging people for the last 24 hours to go out, have fun, embrace this moment, but stay positive all the way through this. No matter what you see, whatever moment you come across tonight, you got to stay positive.
Rhino, you were part of 84, losing San Diego, 89, NLCS eliminated by the Giants. You watched 03 and saw what happened. What is your emotions as a Hall of Fame Cub as you look what could happen tonight?
Well, you know, when I look at this situation, the 2016 Cubs has looked slightly different because this team has been picked throughout. They've been favored. They've had a tremendous season, best record in Major League Baseball. They brought that into the postseason, and they're 3-2 back at Wrigley Field. I really look at this as a very good opportunity and feel very good about it. I'm with Hawley about what the fans might think and the history and the nerves. I'd rather be in the Cubs dugout up 3-2 with 2 games to play than be in the Dodgers dugout. So I like that advantage to the Cubs back at home. I think this place is going to be a whole nother notch of noisiness, even more than we've seen in the past. Last week, where I thought it was off the charts. I think the fans are going to really get after it and put some heat on this Dodger team. And I think the pressure is on the Dodgers. Not only Kershaw, but guys playing defense behind them, their at-bats. So early on the game, once again, very critical to both teams as far as settling their nerves and getting the game underway.
All right, we'd also like you to get interactive with our show. We will have our fan poll question. Go to csnchicago.com/vote. No special app, no cost to you. You just log on, csnchicago.com/vote. Mobile, tablet, laptop, you'll see the tally as it changes right on your television or computer screen. Again, check it out right there, csnchicago.com/vote. All right, let's, I want to ask you about the fans come into this ballpark tonight, okay? And they get, there's nerves. If they get down, how do you as a player avoid that?
Well, if the fans get down?
Yeah, if the Cubs are down early, how do you relax?
As a player?
Because you're going to feel like Rhino said, in 08, there was a home run.
Right.
And all of a sudden,
I understand.
The Dodgers take the lead, and everybody's...
Well, you don't obsess about that. By the time you get on the field as a player, you've got tunnel vision. You've got absolutely one goal at hand, which is to put together the best at-bat that you can, do the exact same thing on the base pass. You try to win a baseball game. You don't become very reactionary to what the fans are feeling, even though you know that there might be some people that are getting a little anxious because they want to see the Cubs out in front. You can't panic. I mean, one thing I know about life, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, any sport that we're talking here, and we're talking history, is that when you start to panic, you start to get away from your game. Cubs players can't do this, and the fan base has got to make sure that they don't put the players in a position where they're feeling too much of that. That's why I would challenge this fan base to be incredibly positive tonight, no matter what they see, no matter what they feel, because you will not succeed if you're feeling those nerves. That I can guarantee you.
You agree?
I totally agree, and that's another thing I really like about this ball club. They haven't shown any panic all year in any circumstance. They seem to take it one game at a time, and That's an old cliche, but I think they absolutely do that. They show up at the ballpark regardless to prepare for that game, no matter who they're facing, no matter if it's April, June, or if it's in the postseason. And I think they're a very very tight-knit group there in the dugout. I think that goes a long way with them talking the game of baseball, pulling for each other in there. And but then again, early on, high fives and creating some energy in there. This club has thrived on this year. So in some regards, I'd like to see them create some excitement, even if it's some early base runners, some long at bats, maybe draw a rare walk off of Kershaw, whatever it might be, something to get them excited, to get them focused. Hey, we're playing our game. This is what we do. We've been doing it all year.
All right, time for our Coors Light game report. Our ace reporter all season long. Here's Kelly Crow.
Thanks, Cap. Well, just the scene walking into Wrigley this afternoon was something else. Outside of the players' parking lot, there had to be a couple hundred people waiting on guys to arrive, and when they'd walk in, the crowd would just erupt. We could hear them inside Wrigley, and that was hours before the game. All the bars along Clark and Addison completely packed. It is just insane around Wrigleyville right now. So you can imagine when things get underway here very shortly at Wrigley, the players expect this crowd to be off the charts, deafening loud tonight for Game 6 of the NLCS.
Epic. I mean, as it should be. I mean, I got a lot of friends in Chicago that are diehard fans, and, you know, they deserve this moment. They should enjoy it. As long as we're going to do, we're going to enjoy it, and just be with us. Be with us like they've been with us all year.
We're all going to enjoy it. You never know the next time you're going to be in this situation, so don't take it for granted. Go out there, and, you know, I hope the fans are as loud as they can, and we're certainly going to play as hard as we can, and that's all we can ask.
Every game is huge, but, man, to go back home with the advantage is really, really important. So, yeah, you got to feel good about our chances, even against Kershaw on Saturday, and we look forward to the challenge.
There's definitely going to be a different feel tonight, no matter how you look at it. A good story, having talked to the manager of the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, the other night in L.A. He, of course, was part of the Boston Red Sox team in 2004, the whole curse of the Bambino. And he said it's actually harder, it was for him, to play at home in front of his home crowd, because you could just feel the tension in the ballpark, all of those years, everyone wanting so badly to break the curse, continue to win. And he said just coming into the ballpark that day, whether it was the man at the coffee shop asking him about it or the usher at the ballpark, you know it's on everyone's minds. And sure, the Cubs are feeling that tonight. We'll see if they can pull it off, though, against Clayton Kershaw this evening. It will be something else here tonight. Cap.
All right, thank you, Kel. Now it's time for our fan poll question. Who was the offensive hero the last couple of ball games? Again, csnchicago.com/vote. Here's your choices. Javi Baez, 4 for 8 with 4 RBIs. We can go Anthony Rizzo. Anthony was 5 for 10 with 5 RBIs. Or Addison Russell, 5 for 10 with 5 RBIs. Rhino, how would you vote among those 3 guys? Baez, Rizzo, Russell over the last 2 games?
I'd say Addison Russell. Key home runs, crooked number with 1 swing of the bat twice in pivotal moments early on in the game when the Cubs wanted some momentum and some early runs. The other guys as well chipped in. So good choices there, and it's good to have multiple choices. That's the positive thing about this club is oftentimes over a 2 or 3 game period or a series, you might have 4 or 5 guys to choose from. That's a good thing. So once again, this all 3 guys great, but
good
I'll
problem
go with
to have.
Addison Russell. Good
No,
problem.
it is. You know, his point's a great one, because I think it's just it's a very tough question to ask. And I come into every time we drive to Wrigley Field, I'm thinking, who's going to be the star of the game today? And it's like one of the toughest things to roll through your mind, because there's so many options and there's so many possibilities. And I really mean that. You know, classically, we play our game at the end of the pregame, you know, all season long. And most of our years together, it's been the 2, 3, or 4 hitter. But there's been a whole lot more variables this year. My answer to that question is, to me, is Anthony Rizzo, just because I think he represents more of what this team is. You know, he's kind of the face of the franchise in a way. Of course, that's Chris Bryant as well. You understand my point. But I think that we panic a little bit more when he's not hitting, I think collectively as a fan base, because it's Anthony Rizzo, and he's been here, and he means so much, and he's done the 30 and 100. He's got to produce, and I think in most people's mind. Addison Russell was more about the slump, and I think Javi has really just captivated us. But when Anthony doesn't hit, people really get nervous. Good to see him wake up.
absolutely. If I had to vote on that, I think I got to go Addison Russell. I get the Rizzo point, and again, Javi's been magnificent, but Addison, 2 monster home runs,
right?
And the Cubs are coming back with a 3-2 series lead. Again, you can cast your vote. Time for our Maristar Casino Hotel starting lineups. Little bit of a change for the Cubs. Here we go. Fowler in center. Bryant, the 2-hole hitting, playing third. Rizzo's at first. Zobrist in left. Baez at second. Contreras, as he always does, will catch Kyle Hendricks. Russell at short. Albert Almora Jr. will get the start in right field. And Kyle Hendricks is on the bump. Contreras 7 for 17 in the postseason. Almora getting a start, Rhino. Gives you elite defense, good speed. This is his first chance in a moment like this.
It is, and I think that he's up for the task of watching this club. And one thing about this club is they seem to can't wait to get in there and see what they can do and show what they can do. They've done it all year. So this is a chance for him. I like the idea of him, a right-handed bat against Kershaw, speed. He can hit some choppers, a swinging bunt. He can push bunt for base hit. He can safety squeeze. Maybe a little small ball type of a guy with some men on base might be right up his alley tonight. But and on defense, you're not missing out too much. So either way, I think Hayward would have brought some Gold Glove defense out there at 6'6". And there was some choices there, but tonight I'm fine with the move.
How about your thoughts on Contreras? He catches Hendricks, 7 for 17, and he plays with a passion that, boy, it's great.
Well, and you know that's where you're asking me that question that way because you know where I am with him. I mean, I've loved every second that he's been at the big league level. I love the fact that he's earned his way here. I love the fact that he's earned his way to stay here. He's done everything right in the passion and emotion that he plays with. He's kind of that dare guy in your lineup. I'll shoot a glance over to the visiting dugout and let you know where we're at. I mean, like, he'll challenge, and I love that about him. There's a toughness there that just stands out. He's not going to take nonsense from anybody on a baseball field. He's going to command behind the plate when he's catching. He's going to throw to bases. He keeps players on their toes. There is an edge to this player that I love. He's classically developing what I think into that guy that you love to have as a teammate and you hate to play against because he forces you to stay on your toes on the bases, and he will, he's going to attack you. He's going to be aggressive, and he's a factor offensively as well.
Jason Hayward's had his struggles offensively. Those have been well documented. You played with Andre Dawson in the '89 playoffs where he was benched at the end of it. I think he was 2 for 24 or 5, whatever it was. How difficult is that for the manager to make that move? It's got to be heck for the player, but for the manager to sit a guy that accomplished in his career who's got a big contract.
I think in '89 it was a tougher decision because Hawk was out there every day all the way through the regular season and the postseason up to that moment. The way that Joe Madden has managed this year with giving guys some breaks and getting other guys in there and using all 25 players, everybody on the bench, I don't think it's that big of a shock or big of a deal. And the caliber of bench players that Joe has to work with speaks for itself. So I don't think it's a big shocker. It shouldn't be a shocker really for me in the locker room. There's been some guys in and out all year long. So I like the move. I like what Almora could possibly do with the right-handed bat, and he might even be asked just to put the ball in play to get an RBI in the situation. So I think he's a good guy for that spot.
What about your thoughts? We've talked a lot about Jason, elite defender, elite base runner, good guy in that clubhouse, but right now the offensive struggles are being magnified at this level.
In my honest opinion, what I saw in the last game was the first time I saw this year where I thought Jason was a little down on himself. I watched his at-bats late in that ball game, and I hadn't seen a little loss of the fight. I know he struggled. Honestly, Rhino and I were just talking about how he has, handled himself this year. I've been so impressed. Admittedly, I'm not sure I would have handled myself as well as he's handled himself with some of the struggles that he's gone through. I mean, they're well documented. But I think in the last ball game, that was the deciding factor for me was the 3-1 pitch that he took for Blanton, the fastball right down the middle of the plate, and then swung at the slider at his shoes that was way out of the strike zone. I thought that is Jason. He is feeling the heat right now, and it might be in his best interest to get him a day. Easy when you got a Clayton Kershaw on the mound to get somebody else an opportunity. So, Cappy, I mean, it seemed pretty obvious to me.
All right, let's take a look at the lineup card that Dave Roberts will bring to home plate tonight. He will have Tolles leading off for the first time in the series. He's in left. Seager at short. Turner at third. Gonzalez back in the 4-hole at first. Reddick in right. Jock Peterson's in center. Yasmani Grandal will catch. Chase Utley all the way down to the 8-hole as he's 0 for 10. And Clayton Kershaw will be starting on the mound for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's talk about Tolles. He has had a very good start to his series.
Yeah, he really has, and he's been hitting the fastball. That's the one thing that stands out to me about Tolles. Now, he's aggressive. He likes to put the ball in play, likes to swing, crowds that plate, but he has been on velocity. I saw him hit Chapman, 98, hit it hard. He can do some things up there, so you're going to have to be careful of him. But that might be a way that you challenge him. If you can set him up and maybe get to that changeup a little quicker with him, because the one pitch he has been on consistently is the fastball, not so much the secondary pitches.
How about your thoughts on Chase Utley? All the way down to the 8-hole, 0 for 10.
It speaks for the other left-handed bats that are in the order, and that's what the Dodgers are going to throw at Hendricks, left-handed bats. So Kyle's going to need good location. He's going to have to keep him honest inside, but two-seam fastballs away, hitting his spots, and then a changeup be key for him. Maybe a lot of ground ball action to the right side, so we'll see some defense over there. Of course, Javi Baez is over there with Rizzo, but with Justin Turner, the only right-handed bat in there. So I think Kyle, he needs to work down at the knees, and he needs to work both sides of the plate. We've got the wind blowing out tonight.
Move it in, move it out.
Could be a hitter's a good night for the hitters in some regards, but we got two outstanding pitchers going.
We do. All right, we've got to take a timeout. We come back, we'll look at the pitching matchup, and Kyle Schwarber will be in action tonight. Not at Wrigley Field, but could we see the Schwarb playing for the Cubs before 2017? We'll tell you about that coming up next on CSN.
Cubs Pregame Live is presented by Fields Auto Group. Fields matters because you matter. See Fields first. FieldsAuto.com.
I'm Dan Fields of the Fields Auto Group. We've prepared a Joe Madden Signature Edition vehicle. It will be raffled off at the end of the season, with the proceeds going to many of Joe's favorite charities.
But not before I have the pleasure of driving it to and from the ballpark. Thank you, Dan, and everyone at Fields Auto Group for this special vehicle and for making this all possible.
For official raffle rules and complete details on how you can win this Joe Madden signature vehicle, go to FieldsAuto.com.
It is an honor for Fields Auto Group to help good causes like Cubs Charities and Misericordia. Fields matters because you matter.
Did you just see that?
That was awesome.
We have to try it.
Okay. Okay, mine's not working.
Maybe you have to bump it.
Oh, yeah, do the bump it thing.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
You can take money out using the BMO Harris app.
You want to buy a hairless cat? There's a pet store down the street.
Cool.
I think she said BMO Harris app.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
When your phone is your debit card, that's the BMO effect. BMO Harris Bank. We're here to help.
In Chicago, some things just go together, like front porches and blue W's, bricks and ivy, Waveland Avenue and souvenirs, Jake and State Farm. Like home and auto insurance with State Farm, they just go together, and they save you time and money. Just another way we're here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
Hello? This is she.
Is that the doctor?
Okay, wow, really? It's two? That's great news, thank you.
It's two?
Yes, it's two. It's 2 for 1 windows at Feldco.
Feldco is offering 2 windows for the price of 1, with no money down and no interest until 2018.
2 windows for the price of 1 ends soon. Hurry. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Hey, it's 45 minutes till the start of the ball game. Still time to give Feldco a call. 866 for FELDCO. And welcome back, Cubs Postseason Live, alongside the Hall of Famer Ryne Sandberg and my longtime partner Todd Hollingsworth. I'm David Kaplan. Cubs made a roster move today, not with their major league club, but they sent one of their best hitters, Kyle Schwarber, to Arizona, and he is now on the roster in Arizona in the Fall League. He's in the lineup later today. He will be batting second and playing DH. The Cubs will monitor him via a video setup, as well as having some of their coaches and scouts there in Arizona. They will watch him hit today, watch him hit tomorrow. He got early clearance from his doctor on Monday. He told Kyle he was a month ahead of schedule. Here is manager Joe Madden on this surprising development.
That just came up. I've been talking to him often. I mean, I watch him in our weight room, training room there, running the treadmill or doing the ellipticals, whatever, and he's doing really well. So then he comes in the dugout. I say, man, you look really good. Next spring training's right around the corner. And I'm trying to keep him pumped up about that. Then all of a sudden, a couple of days ago, he goes for a checkup, and the doctor said, hey, you can hit. And that was that was really a surprise to me and all of us. So we're going to explore that. It's up to us to get to the next moment in order to see if that can actually work out or not. So we're just trying to be prudent. Little foresight, so he's going to play in the fall league and see where that takes us.
All right, let's talk about this surprising development, because all of a sudden, and I asked Theo, I said, I asked you a month ago and you said there was no chance. He said, I wasn't telling you a story. He goes, Monday, Kyle walks up to him and says, hey, I saw the doctor. He gave me clearance. I can hit. I want to go to the fall league and see if I can swing the bat for you. He said, all right, I'm good with that. Go out there on Wednesday with a coach. He took live BP yesterday. He said he hit 3 balls completely out of the building. He said he looked good. He's in the lineup today, and then they'll see. What's your take? Can you make a turnaround that quick and play in a World Series?
Well, I don't. You got to remember, you're probably asking him to DH and pinch hit. So, this isn't about route running and defense and getting a great feel. I mean, you're asking him to get a feel for the batter's box. Can he hit velocity? Is his timing and his eye back? Got nothing to lose. Why not? I mean, if you can do it and he's been cleared, that's the most important thing. So send him there. Find out what he's capable of doing and how ready he is. In fact, if he's ready, does he make your team better? In my personal opinion, he does.
Rhino, can you sit out all year, have a blown knee, start swinging a bat now, and go, I can play in the World Series?
Well, Kyle's been around the club, so he knows the feel of the club. He hasn't been sitting at home for 6 months. I think that's huge. He knows the atmosphere. He knows the vibe of the team, and the team feels comfortable having him around because he's been around. I think that's number one thing. Number two, I don't know that he's just swung the bat just yesterday. I mean, this guy might have been doing some dry swings at home.
Right.
This guy's a hitter.
Absolutely.
I mean, I bet he's been doing some type of swinging for a couple of months.
Just not
nice
letting any
easy.
of us know about it.
Exactly, in a closet somewhere. The guy's a hitter, but I think the Cubs are just looking at all the possibilities.
All available options.
There's a lot of options there. The Cubs all year long, so he's just another one of them.
Well, let me make one more point with this. The Cleveland Indians are not a common denominator for the Cubs, other than, I think Cubs hitters are all asking the same question. When you go up against a team similarly all season long, you get a vibe for them and their rotation. The Cleveland Indians right now, we know that they're in the World Series. No Cubs hitter. I mean, we haven't played the Indians this year. We haven't seen them play the Indians. So, I mean, Kyle's kind of in their boat with them. So, I mean, he's going to be asking the same questions his other teammates would be asking. So as long as he can hit and hit velocity, why not? I think he could be an ace in the hole.
You never know. We'll see. Again, it's still a long shot, and the Cubs still have to win another baseball game to get themselves in that position for Kyle Schwarber to even have a chance to DH in a World Series. All right, time now to take a look at our pitching matchup, brought to you by Apt Electronics, Appliances, and more on Milwaukee Avenue in Glenview. I was out there today. We got a good one. Clayton Kershaw, he's the best in the game against Kyle Hendricks, who had the best ERA of any starter. Let's talk about it.
You want to talk about
Start with Clayton Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw? Well, I mean, again, I guess what I'm hoping to see a little bit more of tonight is an aggressiveness, especially against his fastball. Listen, I think that we've really realized after his first start, you've got 2 base hits, 7 innings, 84 pitches. That was quite efficient, and Cubs hitters were actually taking pitches in that ball game. In fact, only 5 Cubs hitters attacked the first pitch. One thing you know about Clayton Kershaw, he is the best in the game of baseball at throwing first pitch strikes, particularly with the fastball. I'm really hoping that the Cubs hitters come out tonight swinging the bat. It's plain and simple as that. That's what I want to see.
Rhino, how do you attack this guy?
I agree with that, Cap. I talked about 5 minutes last time we faced him about his curveball. What the curveball's a biter, all that. He barely threw it because he didn't have the feel for it. He threw his fastball early in the count, like Holly was talking about. Pitchers will do that to get ahead. Then he went to his hard slider. So I would look hard stuff. I'd be trying to make something happen with some pitches that are on the plate. Don't let him get in the driver's seat to go through the lineup a couple of times without being aggressive. Get some guys on base, get him in the stretch, put some pressure on him. Get some guys on base, you put the pressure on the defense also. The Cubs are up 3-2. So I think early base runners and some base runners
gets everything
put some
going.
pressure on the whole team out there for the Dodgers.
Your thoughts on Kyle Hendricks? This is his home ballpark. He pitches exceptionally well here. Your thoughts on him?
Well, I'm real excited for him. I mean, he certainly earned the opportunity and the moment to be here, and I'm real happy that he's getting the ball. He's pitched incredibly well here at Wrigley Field this season. I do not think in any way he's going to wilt to the pressure. I don't think that's what this is all about. It's about execution. The only thing that stands out in his last start is that there was an elevated pitch count. I think he was up to 94 in 5 1/3 innings. And the 4 walks. Now, he only gave up the home run, the 1 run in that ball game, and didn't give up much damage. But you watch the Dodger hitters, they were absolutely committed to making him pitch and getting that pitch count up. I think that will in some way be the approach tonight, but let me add to that. I think they're going to try to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more hitting and running, maybe putting a few guys in motion. They were very stagnant, in fact, with those 4 walks. They only had 3 hits in the ballgame. I thought they got very stationary. I expect them to be a little bit more active on the bases tonight.
Randall, your thoughts on Kyle? He is not a guy that's going to blow you away at 98, but he's really, really precise.
I think pitching ahead in the count is very important. Down in the zone with both of his fastballs. And to do that, he needs to be on the plate, especially early on, just to establish that with the umpire. He's very good this year with hitting his spots and really being on the black on both sides of the plate. But I think early on, to be on the plate, down in the zone, let the defense make some plays behind him, keep the ball out of the air, and set a good tone, letting his teammates help him out on D.
All right, for more on our pitching matchup, here's Luke Stuckmeyer.
Well, guys, Kershaw and Hendricks should be a tremendous matchup tonight when you consider both of these guys would have likely been in the Cy Young conversation right at the top had Kershaw stayed healthy this season. And while the professor may not be getting the national love that the Dodgers ace is right now, he's once again ready to grab an opportunity by the horns.
It's big, you know, but at the end of the day, you have to take the same mindset into it as any other game, I think. You know, it was a good maybe precursor game 2 for me. It's going to be the same environment, same atmosphere, Kershaw again. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's a good matchup. I'm excited in the sense that get another crack at it. You know, it's obviously going to be fun. It should be a close game. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be important. But in order to approach that game again, like I said, you just have to have simple thoughts, take the same approach as you would any other game.
Hendricks was overshadowed by Kershaw in game 2, but he still only gave up 1 run in that game. And let's not forget, he did have the best ERA in all of baseball in the regular season. He will not be afraid to adjust to the way he attacks certain at-bats. Nobody studies game film or analytics like the professor. And don't underestimate this guy's competitive fire just because he's quiet.
Well, he obviously had an amazing year, you know, what he was able to accomplish this year. And, you know, just he's kind of like the Greg Maddux of this generation, you know, with his ability to sink the ball, cut the ball, and put him in spots where, you know, hitters are enticed to swing at it, but you just can't put the barrel on it. And he's really good at mixing speeds, changing it up. And, you know, he's a tough guy to go against for sure.
Hendricks told us during this season that his biggest break, of course, was getting traded to the Cubs because they were the perfect fit for his pitching style. Then he embraced video, analytics, anything he could get his hands on to make himself a better pitcher, and the rest is all his credit. He has developed into the pitcher the Cubs are thrilled to have on the mound tonight with a trip to the World Series on the line. Guys, we'll send it back over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Luke. Time to take another timeout here on our Cubs postseason live show. When we come back, we'll look at the bullpens for both teams. The Chicago Cubs try and win the National League pennant tonight for the first time in 71 years. They're going to have to beat Clayton Kershaw to do it. We'll be right back.
When you visit Canals BMW, your toughest decision is which BMW will you drive home? A sporty BMW convertible? BMW sedan? BMW coupe? Or one of these BMW high-performance luxury models? And of course, everybody can get into one of these beauties. Canals BMW. Outstanding selection, competitive pricing, always a great decision.
Welcome to the Apt Showroom, one of the top appliance retailers in the U.S. Explore our full line of Thermador appliances that will inspire and empower you to imagine design and bring to life your dream kitchen. Our team of product experts will work with you, your builder, and designer from the very first sketch to the very last detail. Discover how Thermador is personalized to the way you cook and bring the ingredients of entertaining to life. Visit us at Apt, pleasing people since 1936.
My mom was 91 years old when she fell and broke her hip at the nursing home. I called some lawyers and was told that she was too old for a lawsuit. But then I called the nursing home lawyers at Pintus and Mullins.
If someone you love is in a nursing home or hospital and has suffered from bed sores, dehydration, broken bones, or has died from neglect or abuse, call me right now.
Pintus and Mullins got us an insurance settlement for $750,000.
Let me investigate your case. There are no fees unless we get you a settlement.
No one delivers more in-your-face hockey than NHL Center Ice and NHL Network. With up to 40 star-studded games a week all season long, bringing you closer to every goal, every save, and every hit that fuels hockey's biggest foes. Feel the power of controlling the most hockey on TV and let the game live where you do. Order NHL Center Ice. For a special early bird offer, call 1-800-GET-SPORTS.
All right, it's time for Built for Business, presented by Comcast Business. Today we're looking at the numbers. The Dodgers closer, Kenley Jansen, has put up this postseason. Faced the Nationals 4 times in the NLDS. Came away with a pair of saves, giving up 4 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings pitched so far in the NLCS against the Cubs. He's taken them out twice, 3 1/3 scoreless innings, picking up 1 save. Comcast Business, built for business. All right, time once again for you to get interactive with our show. Get your mobile laptop or tablet ready. Head to csnchicago.com/vote. No special app, no cost to you. Just visit that website, get interactive with Holly, Rhino, and me. Now we're asking, which team has the better bullpen, the Cubs or the Dodgers? Rhino, how do you vote? Cubs or Dodgers bullpen?
I think you look at the full bullpen. I like the Cubs bullpen. They're going to be well rested. We got some good starts from the starters through this series. They should be ready to go. I like the mixture of the long guys, the righties, lefties. A lot of versatility there, as opposed to the Dodgers, which is somewhat a one-man show down there. But a guy that can possibly go 3 to 4 innings in a need, in a game like this, in a need. He's that guy.
What he said. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there is no other way to script it. Listen, we know that the Cubs have the better bullpen. They've got the better matchups. There's a lot of things that I think will actually factor into tonight's ball game. But when it comes to the last guy, last man standing, Kenley Jansen is the X factor in this game tonight because he is actually their bullpen. They have one man in their bullpen tonight, Cap. His name is Kenley Jansen.
All right, simple. I don't want to be the guy throwing cold water on this discussion. I am more than a little concerned about Aroldis Chapman. He's been great when he's had 3 outs to get, but he also has had, I believe, in 5 games that he's pitched against the Giants, Connor Gillespie gets him. Against the Dodgers, Adrian Gonzalez gets him. The other night, he did not look sharp at all. That's 3 bad outings. Again, he's going to get the ball. He throws 103 miles an hour. More than a little concerned, are you?
No, not with this atmosphere, not at home, not with the dynamics of this game, and a guy that throws 103 miles an hour. His last outing was an 8-4 game. I thought it was good that he got in there to work on some things. That wasn't a spot to work on things by no means. He had to close it out, and that was not his best. But for him to come in and whether it's 3 outs, 4 outs, 5 outs, whatever it is, in this circumstance, I think he's the guy that rises to the occasion.
You concerned at all?
I am a little bit concerned, and the reason I am concerned because typically the dynamic in a bullpen is how the closer operates and how everybody behind him does. You know, when your closer is not right by definition, sometimes it rattles everybody else's cage. There's uncertainty there. I don't know how to answer this question. How many outs can Aroldis Chapman get tonight? I want to say 6, but I feel like the answer is probably more comfortably 3. But the fact that I don't know how to answer that question makes me a little bit nervous. It's his fastball command that's got me off right now. I don't worry about the fact that his slider hasn't been there or that maybe he's throwing too many fastballs. When you're throwing 103, that's elite. It's what nobody else in the game has. But the problem that I do have is that I don't think he's confident where it's going right now, and that you can't have with a closer.
All right, we've got to take another time out here on the show. We'll hear from Joe Madden. we still got keys to the game for both our guys and our key performers. It's all coming up. Cubs and Dodgers, history on the line. Can the Chicago Cubs win their first pennant in 71 years? We will find out. We'll have post-game, don't forget, right after this ball game goes final. We'll be right back on CSN.
Combining home and auto can save you big. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
Hit every mark. Thread every needle. Turn every ride into a thrill ride. The power and precision of the Lexus Performance line. Now available with turbocharged engines for even more exhilaration. Lease the 2016 IS Turbo with zero due at signing for $399 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
Look at it, lads. New York City. Just doesn't get any better than this.
Actually it does. With Grubhub, you can get the best foods delivered anywhere.
Gluten-free pad thai here for Seamus.
I am Seamus.
Gluten-free?
Yeah. Can't even taste the difference. Oh, you gotta lock up that front tire.
You know the feeling. The rush of every roll, every flip, sip, bite, note, and night. You know the feeling. Get it at Ameristar.
Hello?
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Are you serious? Not khakis. What are you wearing?
For fastballs, call me. For saving time and money, call State Farm.
You sound hideous.
Chris Bryant has become the Cubs' all-time extra base hit leader in the postseason. Cub third baseman has 10 extra base hits in his first 2 big league seasons. That's one more than teammate Dexter Fowler, Aramis Ramirez, Frank Schulte, and some guy named Ryan Sandberg are all tied with 7. All right, welcome back to Cubs Postseason Live alongside Todd Hollingsworth and the Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg. I'm David Kaplan. Let's hear from Joe Madden as he talked about the fans and what's at stake tonight.
There's angst. There's all that kind of good stuff. It's just a fan base that's been waiting for a while. We're definitely on the verge of doing something wonderful, and they're absolutely engaged and involved. At the end of the day, again, it goes back to my advice is like with everybody else. Let's just do this one thing at a time. Let's try to score first. Let's try to win some innings, and just play our game. And that's the best. That's all we can do. That's what we can control. And so I know some of the folks like my babble, some don't, and that's okay. But it's a really passionate fan base, obviously, and it's generational, and it's wonderful.
All right, it is wonderful. We'll find out how wonderful it is about 4 hours from right now. All right, let's talk about the Cubs' elite defense that they're getting at second base from Javier Baez. You went to the Hall of Fame as an elite defender. You used to go 80, 90 games without an error. I mean, amazing streaks. What are you seeing from Javi Baez?
First of all, I love what he does out there. I like him as a person, an individual. I love his energy from the get-go, his athleticism. But he's an exciting player. He's real heads up out there. His instincts we've talked about throughout the shows is off the charts. He can make something up and improvise with the best of them. And he has that ability to do that on playing second base. And I think you need that ability, that characteristic to play second and short, be able to improvise, because you just never know. There's a lot of action that you get and some things that come up that you just have to get through and make the play without even thinking about it. And he does that a lot. But he's got all the tools. He has come in here and solidified himself to be a regular player. That's very impressive for a young player.
What's your take on Javi's defense? I thought the play the other night on the bunt that went by John Lester past the mound, Javi's playing basically back on the outfield grass. races in barehanded and gets Gonzalez on a review.
Well, nothing surprises us any longer, the bare hand play. The one thing that I will say is this: when you get to the big leagues, you are answering questions to everybody. What am I allowed to do here, Rhino? You know what I'm talking about. When you get to the big leagues, am I allowed to make the acrobatic play? Am I allowed to do the snap tag? What am I allowed to do up here? Because you always feel like at the big league level, there's rules and there's veterans and there's a way up here that you've got to get used to. Javi has gotten past that. It's kind of getting through the red tape or whatever. He is in the place now where he is so confident and so willing to try anything. And we're seeing it during this postseason. We're seeing it on the bases. We're seeing it defensively. And that's what I love. In his mind, he finally sees the game of baseball as mine. There are no rules. There are no boundaries at the big league level. When the first time you get here, there are. There always are. We all think the same way. But he doesn't think that way anymore. So he's capable of doing whatever, and that's what excites me so much about his game. This year we've seen the quick tag at second base. We've seen the athleticism. We've seen him on the bases. We've seen him tone down his swing. He is finally in control of his game, and the sky's the limit.
And he has really grabbed this national stage, Rhino, and now people around the country are like, whoa, who's that Baez kid?
Right?
Yeah, it's something else, and he's done it with all of his tools. Big game situation. He's come up big postseason. He's come a long way, but it's base running, it's defense, it's a good arm. It's one of the best taggers I've seen as a middle infielder. I've never seen a guy tag that quickly, and I still look at the plays down there. When they call him out, I say, I got to look at that replay again. It was so quick. And then you look at it, and he's so quick getting the tag down there. He was out. It's unbelievable. And then swinging the bat, he's potent.
He's been magnificent.
Bat.
Magnificent.
Great.
All right, we will take a timeout. We'll come back. You will hear from Dan Plesac of the MLB Network, a former CSN guy as well, and an all-star pitcher. He joins us next, right here on Cubs Postseason Live on CSN.
This Cubs injury report is brought to you by ATI Physical Therapy, taking physical therapy to a higher level. Ask your doctor about ATI Physical Therapy. Get there.
Our mountains challenge us, push us back, knock us down, tell us it can't be done. But then, one day you reach the summit, and you realize the harder the climb, the better the reward. Coors Light, whatever your mountain, climb on.
Hello? This is she.
Is that the doctor?
Okay, wow, really? It's two? That's great news, thank you.
It's two?
Yes, it's two. It's 2 for 1 windows at Feldco.
Feldco is offering 2 windows for the price of 1, with no money down and no interest until 2018.
2 windows for the price of 1 ends soon. Hurry. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Every night, get ready for the most dynamic show in Chicago. This is Sportsnet Central. Every night at 6:30, 10, 10:30, and midnight.
I'm Dan Fields of the Fields Auto Group. We've prepared a Joe Madden Signature Edition vehicle. It will be raffled off at the end of the season with the proceeds going to many of Joe's favorite charities.
But not before I have the pleasure of driving it to and from the ballpark. Thank you, Dan, and everyone at Fields Auto Group for this special vehicle and for making this all possible.
For official raffle rules and complete details on how you can win this Joe Madden signature vehicle, go to fieldsauto.com.
It is an honor for Fields Auto Group to help good causes like Cubs Charities and Misericordia. Fields matters because you matter.
Mr. Submarine is open late every night, so no matter when the urge strikes for a tasty sandwich with delicious ingredients on bakery fresh Toronto bread, dive into deliciousness with Mr. Submarine.
Welcome back on Cubs Postseason Live here on CSN. I'm David Kaplan with Todd Hollingsworth and our guest from the MLB Network. He used to be our guy at CSN as well. Former Major League All-Star, the great Dan Plesac.
Woo! The big blue train, right?
We got fist bumps.
I know you got
train conductor hats.
Thanks for bringing it back, buddy.
I'm sorry, Todd.
All right, so let's talk about this matchup tonight. I know Kershaw's the best in the world, but this team, this moment for the Cubs feels different than it did in 03.
It does, and I think what feels better is they scored 10 runs and 8 runs back-to-back games, and I thought that they had a little bit of a monkey on their back, and the longer they were not going to score runs, I'm just banking on this. Clayton Kershaw has thrown a lot, and he's had a bad back. and you would think that sooner or later these innings and these appearances are going to catch up to him. I don't think he's the same guy now that you could pencil in for 120 pitches or 9 innings. I think if they could get 7, they'd love to get Kenley Jansen involved to go 2 innings.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you think that the Cubs are going to be more aggressive offensively? The numbers kind of prove it out that you should go up against Clayton Kershaw and look to be aggressive early in the count.
Todd, you hit the nail on the head. He has too many quality pitches, 4 good pitches, good heater, the changeup, the curveball, and the cutter, which I think has really made him. If you get behind this guy 0-1, 0-2, he has too many weapons, too many ways to get you out. He's aggressive early, and I think the Cubs need to go up there hunting a fastball early. If they get it, turn it loose.
I saw a stat today that I couldn't believe, that Kershaw's thrown, I believe, 3 curveballs behind in the count this year. Now, again, he didn't pitch a lot of the season. He was injured. So if that's the case, if you get ahead in the count at all, you got to be thinking fastball.
The problem is, Dave, if you look at the numbers, he was on a pace. The strikeouts to walks to innings pitch are like reliever. They're Dennis Eckersley-like for a guy that's a starting pitcher. That's why he's so good. He doesn't fall behind that often, and when he does, he has a lot of weapons, and he has that feel. He knows what pitch to throw at the right time, but I don't think he's the same guy right now. In his last start, he did something I haven't seen from him, dropping down to a low 3/4 angle, about 5 or 6 pitches. All of them were always fastballs. So if he drops down, you'd have to think again that's going to be a fastball.
Well, and I think the interesting thing over the last couple days, at least in my perspective, is that we've kind of concluded that it is the Cubs offense versus Clayton Kershaw, and that's this ball game. I think, honestly, it's Kyle Hendricks and the Dodgers offense that's going to help define this ball game when it comes down to it. What does Kyle Hendricks need to be in this game to be great? What does the Dodger offense in this game need to do to wake up?
I think Kyle Hendricks, if he pitches like he did in Game 2, he's fine. I wouldn't even say that was a mistake, the home run to Adrian Gonzalez, Todd. That was a good fastball, sinking action down and in. People say all the time it was the one mistake. Listen, you're going to have to throw the ball over the plate.
Right.
He probably made a few mistakes, but he's a really good pitcher. For him, he has to use all of his pitches. He has to use the sinker, and I think the big key to the lefties, that fastball, he starts in on the hip and brings back in. It opens that outside part of the plate. He needs that. He needs his changeup. If he has those, this lineup is very pitchable, the Dodgers.
All right, 0-3. Cubs have a 3-2 lead. They got Mark Pryor. This guy's in the other dugout, and Wrigley's on edge. But this feels different. Why?
It does, because this team has a Aroldis Chapman. That team had Dave Veers. That team had a bullpen that they were afraid to go to. They had to ride Kerry Wood. They had to ride Mark Pryor. This is a good team. This is a 103-win team, Dave. They're not a fraud. They're not an imposter. Have they scared some people? Yeah, even me. First couple in the Giants series. They're a good team. I think if you look at the last 2 games, 10 runs and 8 runs. They're not going to get that tonight, but I think if they score 3 or 4, they're going to win this game tonight.
Dan, script wins for each of these teams, if you will. Cubs win this ball game, how? Dodgers win this ball game, how?
I think the Cubs win this game because I like what I've seen so far. I just think the middle part of the order, Chris Bryant, I think is going to do something big, and I think Aroldis Chapman is going to have to do something he hasn't done yet. That's pitch effectively in the 8th inning, because I think if he saves this game, it's going to be for more than 3 outs.
The crowd is obviously going to be amped. I mean, everybody wants this. 71 years, a long time to happen. But if the game does not go the way the Cubs want it to go early, how do you not let the negative vibes in the building derail you?
Dave, I was here when Mark DeRosa hit a 2-run homer in the Dodgers series many moons ago.
That's right.
And then the next inning, James Lodi hit a grand slam in the basket. This place went from crazy to, oh no, it's happening again. Listen, it's what comes with 1908, but one thing is different. It's a different culture of Cubs, and it starts with Joe Madden. When he took this job, embraced the curse, they're going to try to beat it. It's there. You can't get away from it when you put on a Cub uni. It's there. It's 71 years they haven't been to the World Series, but this is the best Cub team that you or I or any of us have ever seen. This is a really good team.
Who's under more pressure tonight?
Cubs. I think the more pressure, this goes to a Game 7 because they won 103 games, Todd. I think everybody knows they're the best team, and they've yet to play like it. They did Games 4 and 5. They need to do it for one more.
Who's the key for you tonight for the Cubs besides
Hendricks.
Kyle Hendricks, offensively?
I think offensively, Anthony Rizzo. He's showing signs of waking up, but it's going to be tough because Kershaw is a tough customer. If he has a good night, the Cubs are going to win.
I'm going Almora Jr., and here's why. Kershaw doesn't know him. I think that's a huge advantage in this one. I talked to so many aces throughout my years, played with enough of them, sit next to guys like this. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is power. Almora has had impactful at-bats this year. He's kind of in the middle of the lineup. I think he's a bit of a sneak attack. I think he might get a cookie-cutter fastball out over the plate early in this ballgame, and you might watch him do something special.
I couldn't agree with you more. And as a pitcher, you like info. I know facing Todd Hollingsworth, where he stands in the box from pitch to pitch, hey, he's moving up, he's moving back. When you don't have any of that data, you're not sure where to go, and it scares you as a pitcher.
For me, it's Ben Zobrist. He is versatile. He's a veteran. He's been here. I just have a feeling he has a good game tonight.
If he does, they win.
If he does, they win. Thank you for your time.
You got it anytime.
There
the
he
Big
is.
Blue Train, it's going to roll.
There you go. We'll be fist bumping. There you go. All right, we will be back with our keys to the game and our key performers. We'll be right back on CSN.
When you visit Canals BMW, your toughest decision is which BMW will you drive home? A sporty BMW convertible? BMW sedan? BMW coupe? Or one of these BMW high-performance luxury models? And of course, everybody can get into one of these beauties. Canals BMW. Outstanding selection, competitive pricing, always a great decision.
Did you just see that? That was awesome. We have to try it. Okay. Okay, mine's not working. Maybe you have to bump it. Oh yeah, do the bump it thing. Right. Okay. Yeah.
You can take money out using the BMO Harris app.
You want to buy a hairless cat? There's a pet store down the street.
Cool.
I think she said BMO Harris app. Yeah, that makes more sense.
When your phone is your debit card, that's the BMO effect. BMO Harris Bank. We're here to help.
Moving a 295-pound refrigerator is not easy. Moving your wife's 17th century colonial stemware collection is rarely easy. Moving Mr. Smooches is never easy. Fortunately, moving your favorite entertainment with DirecTV is always easy. Just one call before you move is all it takes. Done. The DirecTV Movers deal. Easy Now comes with bundles and equipment upgrades too. Call and ask about all the benefits today.
Mike Anderson Chevrolet is the Chevy Giant.
And we have giant savings and a giant selection.
If you're looking for your first, second, or third vehicle, we have a giant lot to pick from.
Save up to 30% on select 2016 Chevys, like the Sonic LT. Was $18,575, now $12,998. Or save up to 32% on select 2016s, like this Cruise. Was $19,010, now $12,991.
Visit Mike Anderson Chevrolet in Merrillville at I-65 and 61st Avenue.
Mike Anderson Chevrolet, the Chevy Giant.
See you soon.
Mr. President, do you think the Cubs will win?
I feel very confident that Clayton Kershaw is a great pitcher, but they got too many sticks. They got too many sticks.
Really?
Yeah. And at home, with our crowd, the weather.
Yeah.
We also, you get a little bit of autumn in Chicago. You don't get that in Los Angeles. Trees just die in Los Angeles. In Illinois, they flourish.
Bill Murray stealing the scene yesterday at the White House in the press briefing room. He will be honored in a Kennedy Center gala this weekend, but his heart is with his Cubs. Welcome back here at Cubs Postseason Live on the field at Wrigley. Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg and Todd Hollingsworth. Time for Holly's Keys to the Game, brought to you by the Fields Auto Group.
All right, let's roll it out. You go, we go. Dexter Fowler, we know he has been very, very good throughout his career against Clayton Kershaw. 409 batting average against him. Table setter, again, if he gets on and starts to get rolling, this team all season long has reacted to Dexter's game. It's just really the way that it goes. It's almost unfair of me to put it squarely on his shoulders that way, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again tonight. He has got this team. He has been the catalyst all season. He needs to be big for him again tonight, and if he gets on base, I really have a good feeling about this Cubs team tonight. Early game aggressiveness. We talked a little bit about it. I'm going to give you some numbers. 69.7% of first pitch strikes from Clayton Kershaw, best in the bigs this year. And of that, almost 80% of those pitches were fastballs. So Rhino and I have been talking about this an awful lot today. You're going to get a first pitch fastball most of the time. I want to see these Cubs hitters look to be aggressive. They were not the first time we faced them. Only 5 Cub hitters went after the first pitch against Kershaw in those 7 innings in Game 2. So that, to me, is really going to be very, very much important. And then you got cross the bridge. That is key number 3. The Dodgers are a 2-pitcher show tonight. Kenley Jansen, Clayton Kershaw, end of story. If you see anybody else, we're in great shape. That's what they're working towards. For us, I think the story's a little different. You've obviously got Kyle Hendricks going tonight. I think you're going to see some matchups in those middle innings that will lead us to a Aroldis Chapman there at the end. So, again, those matchups will be very, very important to what I believe is going to be a low-scoring game.
Rhino, you're key to the game.
First of all, for the Cubs, Kyle Hendricks go out, set the tone. Starting pitching and defense, I think they'll need both with the sinker balls and pitching down in the zone. But we got to find a way to put some pressure on Kershaw. Somebody has to find a way. The lineup has to find a way. Check him out. If he's pounding the zone with fastballs, have some hitters go up there and adjust and like Holly's talking about, be aggressive, attack some early pitches. Find a way to get some base runners, early pressure, not only on Kershaw, but the defenders, and I think that's important.
Does this weather at all play a factor for a team that was playing in 91-degree weather the other day? The Dodgers are a West Coast team, and the Cubs are used to playing in cold weather. Any factor at all as it gets cooler as the night goes on?
In the first inning, for me, I think the first inning you feel it a little bit, but once you get out there, start running around, you're good to go. I don't think you'll even know what the game time temperature is unless we drop into the 30s and there's a really, really strong wind where you're really feeling it in the stadium. I think we as fans and as broadcasters feel it certainly a bit more than they do. You're prepared for this stuff. Like I said, you might see it in the first inning, but after that, absolutely not.
Your key performer you're taking?
I'm going to go with Javi Baez. Right-handed bat, right in the middle. Get some of those early base runners that I'm talking about with the guys ahead of him or maybe at the bottom of the order. But somebody's got to come up with some men on base. I liked his couple of bats he had against Kershaw. The wind was blowing from the right field pole to the third base bag. Knocked down a couple of balls, especially the one that he hit to center field.
Right.
So he had some good looks at him and some good contact. So he's right there in the middle. He needs a couple of guys on base, get the Kershaw on the stretch, and let him drive the ball.
I'm going to go Albert Almora Jr. Yeah, he's sitting in the 8th spot tonight. I just love this matchup because there's very little known as far as Clayton Kershaw against Almora, and that, to me, is a huge advantage.
All right, I'm going Ben Zobrist. Don't forget, when the game ends, you flip over to CSN. We'll have Joe Madden, locker room interviews, and hopefully a celebration. Go Cubs. We'll see you after the ballgame.